Welcome to another episode of Thommos Tin Shed, and as you can see, we're moving forward on the Jack Nelson Ballot. I'm going to show you exactly how we got to here from last week, because remember last week we were here, now we're right through here. There's been some fabrication, there's been some resurrection of old Hudson bonnet and side panels. We're starting to get the real shape of the car now, which is really good. So if you like it and you like what we're doing here, don't forget, hit like, subscribe, hit those notifications. And I'm going to get straight into this episode because, well, we've got a lot to go. G'day folks, I'm Thommo. Hey, you're there, I'm here, I'm doing stuff, you're watching, perfect. G'day folks, welcome back to the shed. We're start of another day, and we've got the neighbours next door with their tractor doing a bit of groundworks. We've got the parrot sitting up in the olive trees making a lot of noise, and we are back into the Jack Nelson Ballot. First and foremost today is we're going to do the engine bay firewall. We want to seal out the front part of the cabin area from the engine bay. Once we've done that, then we can seriously look at setting up the bonnet, which is next on the list. We want to try complete all the body work over the next couple of weeks and get that body off and get into primer, so then we can get back to the mechanicals on the car. So I've got one problem. Well, it's not so much a problem, but it's an issue to rectify. Is that normally you would just take a template and you'd weld it all in place. But I've got these two things here that are my little bit of a problem. Now at the moment we don't know where the resting position are these. We don't have a clutch assembly, we don't have a brake assembly at the moment, they're just free floating on pins. So we don't know how far they're going to come into the engine bay. That means that if I was to do a firewall, they would be stuck on the cabin side and I wouldn't be able to get the body off. So there's a problem straight up. So when we take the body off, we need to be able to clear the pedals without taking the pedal assembly away. And because we haven't actually completed business on these, in fact we haven't even started the mechanics of this part of it, I really don't know where these are all going to end up. So the only way around that is to redress that later, come back to it at another time when we've got all these assemblies completed and we can drop the body back on and fix it. So I'm going to put a perimeter frame of inch by 1/8 flat bar, which is going to come up across the top of the pedals, down the side, and then pick up the bulkhead as it goes across the engine. Reason we're going to do that is that then I can make a separate panel for this later down the road. When we know where these finish and we know where the pedal assembly, we can put the body back up and I can physically make a panel to fill that space. And what we'll probably do with that one is we'll get the old sandbag and we'll get the mallet out and we'll physically hand hammer a dome into the sheet so that when these are in their full travel they'll have all the clearance, but inside the engine bay will just be a fill panel which we can secure with some captive nuts or nut certs or something to that effect. So that will be a nice little panel that we can remove and take off and get in, but it will also give a firewall. We'll stop any fire or any oil or fumes or anything getting into the cabin area because we'll be able to seal that completely out, which is the key to it all. So that's first on the agenda, is to create this framework for the bottom of the firewall. We'll be able to make the firewall to at least 80%, leaving this as a redress later. Then we can get on with the bonnet. So that's what we're going to do first up. So enough chit chat. Let's get some metal out and let's get it started. So as you can see, after a quick bit of time lapse, we have this in place. That's the bottom section of the firewall. Now we obviously still have a transmission tunnel to do down through here, but until the gearbox and the transmission's in place, there's no point worrying too much about it. You've given us the clearance to move the pedals in and out while we sort that out, but now we can concentrate on getting that firewall done and we have something that we can pin it to. So there it is, folks. part A done, let's do part B. So you can see we've got the straw board up. We're going to do template all around so we can make the firewall. Now if you're wondering how I'm keeping that piece of straw board up while I mark it, we just come around here and we just use pot magnets. So we use those pot magnets on a little stem. So we've got them located at various locations around the board. And because it holds through, it just has everything in place. It's a hands-free moment. And then all we have to do is get our pen and literally mark the profile. That's it, folks. Pot magnets, steel frame. Righto, we have done the firewall. It's loosely tacked in there. In fact, it's just clecoed in and a couple of clamps. But as you've seen on the time lapse, we just knocked this one out. Usual story, create a template. From that template, we transferred that to the steel, marked out our bead rolling, did a bit of bead rolling, give it a bit of a shape and a bit of profile. And now we've gone and clecoed it up, ready to go. All the holes for the spot welds are already pre-drilled. I'm literally going to go now and pick up the welder and weld this thing in place. And we'll dolly the edges over, ready for the next piece. Then after that, we're looking to do a few brackets inside here while we've got access for the dash panel, and then it's onto the bonnet. So we're gonna have a crack at picking up this Hudson bonnet that we picked up. Big shout out to Woody from Cool Junk. He happened to find me a bonnet. I was chasing 40-inch long bonnet because of the big straight 6, and the best we could do was 39.5. So good on you, Woody, for tracking that one down for me. So we're going to be using that, but we've got to do a bit of a cut and paste on that one there because it's not perfectly going to fit. It's we're going to do what we've got to do to make it right. So that's tomorrow, but for now we're going to get this thing welded up, get it all dressed up, and then we'll hit the ground running with another piece. G'day folks, welcome back to Thommos 10 Shed, another start of a day, and we're back on the Jack Nelson Ballot. Now, we have to set up the bonnet today. We've got a Hudson bonnet. It's not designed for this car, but we've got to make it fit. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a bit of flat bar, a rear mount or a rest for the bonnet to sit on, which is going to be welded right around this radius here. We're going to use 1.25 inch by 1/8 flat bar, and we're going to hand form that. Now there's a rolling process I'm going to show you today, another tech tip from Thommo. We're going to use a simple ball peen hammer and a bench vise on the ground to radial form flat bar. You don't need the fancy rollers, you don't need to take it to a shop and get it done. You can do it in your very own shed, and I'm going to show you how to do that today. One of those tech tips that Thommo likes to throw down. But in the meantime, let's get to going on this one. We're going to get this flat bar in, then we're going to make a bracket for the front. We need to support the front of the bonnet while we're doing it. And our goal today is to set the bonnet up, cleco, do all the stretches, the cuts and pastes that we're going to do with this bonnet, and have that bonnet sitting in situ so that we can then move forward to the radiator panel. Now, the radiator cowl is going to be custom. I've had a look, I can't use the Chevy. I'm going to have to do something fresh out the bag. So there's fabrication for you folks. If you like fabrication and tin work, you're going to see it firsthand. Okay, so we've taken a template off the body shape. So this is the top, rolls down through the side of the cowl. And this is the radius that we want our flat bar to follow. Now here's one we prepared earlier, just to give you an idea that it fits up pretty good. You've got some fine adjustment, but it's pretty good. So I'm going to show you how we get to this. This is the other side, that's the left hand side. Now I'm not too sure you can see, we got these marker points here, and that is basically where the top finishes and the radius starts and the radius finishes. So I'm going to roll that through. Now we're going to use a template to get us a basic idea, but how we're going to do this is with one of these and one of them. So you just need a bench vise. Now I'm doing it on the ground because I don't have a bench vise that's accessible for the length of the material I got. But you can do it on your own bench at home. As long as you've got a sturdy bench and you've got a bench vise, you can do this all day long. So you want to set the bench vise up with about a 75mm gap for those metric people, but in our world, 3 inches. And you're going to be peening using the ball end in the middle of that gap directly to your material. And what happens is as you peen the material, it curves the material around, and you just walk along with the ball peen hammer back and forth, and it'll slowly rotate and give you the radius you're looking for. It's a nice slow process. You don't have to go too crazy. The key here is the hammer. Now, don't be light with your hammer, guys. You need a little bit of weight in the hammer. 9-pound ball peen is a must in a workshop like this. If you're working on steel, make sure you get a decent weight hammer. Let the hammer do the work. That's a tech tip that I was told by my Wally mate, Wally Ballot, years ago. Weighty hammer, half the work. Right, so here we go. All we got to do is we're going to ball peen between these 2 marks over the gap. And it goes simply like this, guys. You start peening right in the middle of the flat bar. And you can see straight away you start getting a radius in there. And all you got to do is just continue to follow a bit of flat spot there. We can pick that up. And then we use our template to check the gap. As you can see, there's still a fair bit to come around. But I've noticed in that I've got a bit of a flat spot through here, so I just need to work that area and get that to turn around a bit more. So work out where our little flat spot is right there. Coming around a bit more, I think. We're not far off. So you can see, just got to rotate through this section to get that to turn a bit more. So now we're just going to concentrate on through here to get this part to turn. We'll have a look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's pretty close. Now, because this is mild steel, it's only 1/8 thick, you've got the opportunity to physically now hand form it to the last little bit. So when you're tiling it into your car, you can just put it in your hand and just treat it. But that gives you your coarse shape, and that is as simple as it gets. You don't need the fancy rollers, you don't need to take it to a workshop, you just need a bench vise, a ball peen hammer, and hammer away, and you get yourself a nice flat bar radius. Pretty simple, but for you guys at home who can't afford all the good gear, there's your tech tip for the day. Okay, so you can see on the firewall, I've done a dimensional line or a set line. Now that's 5/16 of an inch off the top edge. That's allowing enough clearance for the bonnet to sit in. Now, these old cars are not perfectly matched. They're loose term, like even from the factory they didn't fit perfectly up on gaps. And then remember, this is a race car, so it doesn't have to be ideally perfectly seam sealed. We're not Formula 1 here. So 5/16 of an inch gives us enough clearance for the bonnet to sit on and get close to the profile and seal it up. If you find it sits too low, you can just put a little rubber strip on that, which we'll probably do anyway, just to stop the vibration and the noise. But you can final adjust it and trim it just with a little bit of rubber matting on there, or a bit of canvas or something to the effect. But for now, we're going to leave it the 5/16 as our inch. Now, we created a template. As you've seen when we did the roll forming, that template actually represented the shape of our cowl, which is what we use. Now, when you watch me just use the ball peen hammer and the bench vise, we created this shape right here. Now it's a broad term, as you see there's little gaps and everything. It's close, right? That just gets you to the ballpark. Now what we do is we take this thing here and we just match it up with our profile lines. You don't always get it right the first time. Trust me, I'm going to say that. I'll have a look here. So she's a little bit out on the bottom here. We're just going to give it a quick. Now when you bend these, just small bends, little adjustments. It's amazing how quick this stuff will move around. And that, ladies and gentlemen, it's close enough. Now I'm just going to trim the excess off, put a radius on the bottom just for dress, and then we're going to start welding these on. So check it out, guys. I've made an adjustable T-bracket off the water pump mounts. Reason being is that, if you can see straight down the line, this is to set the front edge of the bonnet so we can get it nice and level or get it to the angle we want. Now, if you look down here, I've done 1/2 inch incremental holes. So we've got 4 adjustments, so we can raise and lower it 1/2 inches at a time to get what we want done. And we take it up to down here. These are all welded in now. This is what the back edge of the bonnet sits on. We set it there, sits on top of that, then we can start forming and shaping it from there. So next step is to measure up the bonnet and just see how it fits up, and then we'll see if we get this line here just perfect. So we've got this front frame tacked up now. Seen a little bit of time lapse we've just created. This is the perimeter frame, or the profile of the bonnet and the side panels that matches up down the side of the car, or also radius matched. So this will match perfectly into that. Now the car's tapered, so it can't be perfectly straight. We're going to have to play with that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put the side panels on. There's a bit of trimming to do. We're going to cleco the side panels in place so we know exactly where they fall. We're going to cut and trim a little bit of hinge section so that we know where that falls. Once the 2 side panels are on both sides, we're then going to put the centre hinge and cleco that in place so that's secured, leaving us just these corner rolls to template, fab and English wheel. So we've got the side panel trimmed up. I just trimmed that nasty bit off the bottom. Just had a bit of rust and stuff, and I made this level. And we've got it clecoed to our framework. So that's now holding exactly where it needs to be this way. We've got it set so that the seam matches up with the join of the top cowl piece comes through. That line will be there, and then that seam follows through all the way down. Now the Hudson bonnet's got this beautiful little flush fitting. You can't even see these hinges, they're all underneath, so sweet deal. So she's all clecoed in place. Now to trim the bonnet. Right, now we're up to the bonnet right now. So we've got the Hudson bonnet. We know it doesn't fit. We've got the side panels all trimmed up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 inches off the side. Now this is where the hinge section is. This is what connects to the side panels. We're going to connect that to the side panels on the car. Then what we're going to do is we're going to cut a centre section, the centre hinge out. We're going to have 4 inches either side of centre. We'll trim that out. We'll get that clecoed into the centre on the top of the car. And then what's left to do is to hand fabricate the fill between the two. But I'll show you that on the car and make it a little bit easier to understand. In the meantime, I'm just going to get onto this, get it cleaned up on the car, and we'll pick it up from there. G'day folks, we're back in it again, of course, the start of a new day, and we are working on 2 items today, just 2. We're going to complete the bonnet. Seen yesterday we cut out the Hudson bonnet. We've got the centre hinge clecoed in place, we've got the side panel and the top section hinge clecoed in place. That's ready to go. So we're going to do the usual routine. We're going to create a straw board template, transfer that to metal, English wheel it out to fit the shape. And what we're going to do, because this material is so thin and trying to butt weld along that would be just, problematic in itself. We're actually going to do a very subtle step relief on the material and double thickness right on that joint, so we can cleco this joint together and then we can just weld along that seam, take our time, reduce the deflection and the bends and the wobbles that happens when it's such thin material over such a long distance. We're going to take our time with that one, and then we can just dress that out and it'll be a finished product from there. So we're going to hit this bonnet first, finish out that completely. Then the second half of the day, we're going to be doing this top cowl through here. We're going to complete that out so that we can complete the full bonnet form right down to the nose cone. Now I was going to do the nose cone on this episode, however, there's a lot in it. It's a pretty custom piece of gear, so we're going to save that till the next episode. I'm going to do an episode just on fabricating that nose cone from the ground up, show you exactly how we can do it in a workshop without all the fancy gear. So that's another day, but for today we need to get on with this, get this bonnet bumped out, get it finished off, move on to this cowl right here, get that finished off, and she's going to be looking like a streamlined butterfly. I'm pretty sure by the end of the day it's going to start looking really special, and I'm sort of kind of excited about that. So let's truck on. I just wanted to show you this before we move forward. So we've made and rolled these sections through here. We've got them all clecoed in. You see they were sort of clecoed, so that's the hinge piece there. That was that 2-inch bit. We see over the top we've got the centre hinge going through here. They're all clecoed in. Both sides are done. That bonnet is ready to spot weld and weld up. We're going to weld it during the week. We're not going to waste your time with that. But as you can see, as we come down this way, the bonnet is complete. A little bit of welding. And what we're going to move on to now is this part through here. We're going to move on to the dash cowl. We're going to do that in 2 pieces. The reason we want to do it in 2 pieces, if I can just take you through here, is there's this beautiful profile line going all the way up the centre, and I want to continue it up into that there. So it's a visual reference all the way through to the dash. So that's why I'm going to do a split section. I'll show you how they do it. Bit of templating, bit of bead reeling, and we'll get back into it. Okay, so we're on to the dash cowl. I'm going to call it dash cowl. Not a cash cow, but a dash cowl. Now we're going to take a press line through here. It's going to have a 90-degree pressing here, and that skin's going to come all the way over, wrap down, and it's going to terminate along this edge here. And we're going to put the rivets that are required to make the cowl look right. But we are going to cheat. We're actually going to weld that whole skin and dress it out. So now I'm going to make a template for that, transfer it to steel. We're going to English wheel this through and we'll trim it up, and then we'll move to the other side. That's our plan today, is to finish this off. We're on track. All we can do is just keep moving. So we've got the template in place. That line is a 90-degree press mark. It fits up. We've got a few little shallows to pick up. As you see down through here, we've got to add 5 into the template through here to get that to flush, and flush up nicely from there. Around here is pretty good. We're going to add an extra 10mm at the bottom, just so we've got something to trim back to. And you can see here we've got a bit of wheel section. So that's going to be flat, and then we'll wheel through here, starting from that edge there, and get it shaped up. So we're going to transfer and do this one first, then we'll do the other side, because no guarantees that this side will be the same as that side. They'll be close, but they won't be perfect. So let's get this on the steel, get this in the English wheel, No bead rolling, a little bit of press work we'll show in a minute, but let's just get it done. There you have it, folks. There's another episode done and dusted. We have got a fair bit of tin work done this time through. We managed to get all the side panels clecoed in place. We've got the bonnet rolled, all the fill sections through there, and we've got the cowl section on the cab work done. Now there's just clecoed in for now. They're the last things to get welded on the car because we need to have this side panel finished off first. But that's another day. For now, throughout the week I'm going to go and do all the weld of the bonnet, get all the bonnet welded up and dressed up, ready to go, so that next episode we can start on that whole custom Jack Nelson Ballot radiator cowl. I've not been able to locate or find or identify what he used, so we're going to make one from scratch. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way. We're going to use a little bit of form ply to do some shaping. We're going to do some bead rolling. We're going to do some wheeling. We're going to do a little bit of everything and fabricate that custom piece so that we can finish off the nose cone of the car. And I've got this little panel in the back to finish out, and then we're getting close to buttoning up the car. So side sheets after that, a couple of chairs to do as well. So we're really sort of starting to mow it along, which is good. So thanks for watching, thanks for hanging around. And don't forget, hit like, subscribe, hit those notifications, and we'll continue to throw more stuff at you with Thommos Tin Shed. In the meantime, we'll see you on another episode, and stay cool. We'll see you around.